What's up, everybody? Welcome to the video. Chris Pennell here, breaking down the Coke Zero Sugar 400 for the playoff cutoff race at Daytona for what is typically the most wild, intense, and insane race of the year. Because in this day and age of NASCAR, all you have to do is win and you are in the playoffs. We saw last year, Harrison Burton punches his ticket outside the top 30 in points, and everybody in the field can win this race. We'll go over that when we talk some strategy here, but we'll be in for a wildly entertaining race, at least I hope so, hopefully weather permitting. But anyway, this happens to be your first time here. What's up? My name is Chris Pennell. I break down NASCAR DFS each and every single week on this channel. Videos on Saturdays, live streams on Sunday, although with this being another Saturday race, push everything I said back one day. Planning to be live around 5 p.m. Eastern, so be there, be square. Always a good time. And if you do enjoy today's video, make sure you leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel for brand new, and let's dive right into it. All right, let's talk some strategy here for Daytona. I like to just simply say stack the back and count your money at the end, although some people do like some data to back that up, which is fine. So I'll revisit the Twitter post that I posted in February. Of course, we are missing one race sample size, but trust me, it's not changing. So these are the past Daytona races and how it looks, at least visually. So DraftKings points by starting position. We have the average finish by starting position, change in position by starting position. We'll start with that one first. So the top right, as you can see, the closer up you start, you typically are just pretty much a lock to lose spots. And then when we get to the back half of the field, you're usually a lock to gain spots over the course of a larger sample size. Of course, we have one sample size for the race that we are playing. So of course, it's not going to be exactly like this. There's some guys that will start third and they could win. I mean, that's possible too. I'm just saying over the large course of a sample size, this is where you typically want to be. You want to be in the back of the field. Then we have on the bottom two, DraftKings points by starting position and FanDuel points by starting position. And as you can see, the further back you go, the more points you score. It's as simple as this, guys. The data does not lie. We stack the back at Daytona. And to do this, the way I'm going to set up my builds in the optimizer this week for on DraftKings, FanDuel's a little bit different. You're still stacking the back over there, but you know, if you have a race winning contender starting 18th, 20th, you know, you kind of bump your exposure up to them compared to DraftKings because just the way the scoring is. But I will have it, so if you just pretend we're looking at a starting grid, 1st through 12th, I will have 0 to 2 drivers. 13th through 24th, I will have 0 to 3 drivers. So sometimes I still might not want a driver inside the top 24. That's perfectly fine. That allows that, but I can get up to 3. And typically the way projections are, you're not really getting too many guys up front. Anyway, and then 25th on back, however many drivers are in the field this week, I want 3 to 6 of those guys. So at the very least, 3 of my drivers are going to be starting 25th on back. But more often than not, it tends to be more than that. And then I also posted this on Twitter this week. We have our figure. This is Daytona. And I mean, it's great to look at. Logano, Cindric, Blaney, they're all going to be running up front. But guess what? It doesn't matter. They all wreck. Carson Hocevar, you would think, wow, he absolutely sucks. Which, yes, he does. He sits in the back the entire race. And at the very end, he collects his spots after all the wrecks. That is how he races. Although with this being the playoff cutoff race, probably not going to try that strategy. So you can almost throw that out the window, but I'm just trying to give you guys an example that it does not matter. Most of these guys are gonna wreck, so who cares? And also, don't be afraid to leave money on the table. I've had lineups with 20,000 on the table. On FanDuel, I've had like 35,000 on the table. Like, don't be afraid to leave all the money in the world you want. You want to build bad lineups, gross looking lineups. Those are the ones that typically succeed here. Funny story, just for this exact example, last year in this exact race, I told my girlfriend at the time, now wife, if she wanted to play this weekend, so I reserved her the $1 5 max on FanDuel, and all I said was build the worst lineup you can think of. I didn't look at projections, I said just build the absolute most disgusting lineup you can, Nemechek, Ware, Custer, whatever it was, and she got second place in her tournament, and it's literally all it takes sometimes at Daytona. And the main thing is, since there's so much variance in this race, it really doesn't make much sense to be overweight on the chalk. Like, they're great. They look like great plays until they wreck. And you just really want to be overweight on the guys that are going to be low owned. For example, if we have Cody Ware starting 36th and Chase Elliott starting 35th, in that example, Chase Elliott's going to be almost 50% owned. Cody Ware, depending on how many scrubs are in the back, might be 6% owned. It makes way more sense to be much more overweight on Cody Ware than it would Chase Elliott in that example. Because, I mean, in all honesty, Cody Ware could easily outscore Chase Elliott in this race if he happens to get wrecked. And finally, moving on to the driver breakdown, I do attention one thing first. It's a free video, guys. Let me do my plug and feed the dog. But if you want to join the best NASCAR DFS community out there, and we have NFL coming very soon, which I'm very excited for. They're very profitable sport for me over the past few seasons, and lots of extra stuff coming there. So I'm very excited for that. But if you want to join, links down in the description or the pinned comment for the Patreon. If you are a new user, you can sign up completely free for a week and test out all the tools that I do have to offer. And I'm not going to sit here and bore you to death and mention every single thing on here. So if you're going to pause or a screenshot, be my guest, but you're not going to find this amount of data or tools available to you at these price tags anywhere else. DraftKings, FanDuel, optimizers for both Trucks, Xfinity, and the Cup Series every single weekend when they're all racing. And I have the DraftKings Contest Simulator, which can sum up to 10,000 lineups at once, whether you're in cash games, tournaments, large fields, or single entries. Gonna come in, check out all the extra content, especially with NFL coming very soon. I'd love to have you. If not, that's fine. Let's dive right into it. And it's not much later, like 20 minutes. They did end up canceling qualifying, so obviously no practice. It's a super speedway. That doesn't matter anyway. And the order is basically set from how they finished last week. Of course, they got a little bit of a twist with the formula, so it's not going to be the exact. But if you wrecked out last week like Chase Elliott, of course, you were in the back. So it actually works well for my reference point I made in the strategy video where I said if Chase Elliott's in the back and Cody Ware's in the back, nearly the same play because they have equal chances of wrecking, although I would say the chances of Chase Elliott wrecking is a bit higher than Cody Ware, just based off of, Cody Ware kind of riding around in the back. So very fun slate. I mean, all the bums in the back aren't really challenged as far as like big names are concerned. So this is probably perfect from an ownership perspective. So I love this. I love how this is set up. I'm seeing a lot of fades, especially just based off of ownership, based off of names and where they are starting. So let's get into it here. We'll start with the 5-figure range first. And salary does not matter this week. Don't worry about filling out your roster using all of that money you have. But look at all these good fades. I mean, these are the best super speedway drivers. I mean, there's no doubt about it, but I mean, it's Daytona. Dominator points don't matter here. The fast laps are completely random. There's so much jumbling around. There's so much wrecks. It could be anybody. So there's no reason to play the guys up at the very front. Even if they do score well, like say Ryan Blaney wins the race, it's not a guarantee he's even in the optimal lineup. He could easily get outscored by someone like Ryan Preece starting in 31st, even if Ryan Blaney wins the race. So don't worry about dominator points, and don't worry how you're doing during the race. Nothing matters at all until the last turn when they're crossing the checkered. So we have Team Penske up top, Joey Logano and Ryan Blaney. Ryan Blaney, our pole sitter. Thank goodness, because that's going to soak in ownership because it's Blaney at a super speedway. He always tends to get ownership, of course. People are getting smarter. I remember back in the day, Logano on the pole would get right around 25% ownership. Don't really see that happening this time, but I will not be playing Logano. I will not be playing Ryan Blaney. William Byron, he might sneak into Logano and Byron might sneak into a couple of lineups in 150 and 20 max, just a couple, but there's no way I would hand build them in. Same with Denny Hamlin. Chase Elliott dropping down to this 9K range. He's I would call him the cash game staple of this slate. Now, he does make for a very interesting case as far as fading him in tournaments. And by fade, I don't mean play 0% Chase Elliott. That is dumb. When we're talking about going underweight on these guys in the back that are big names, I don't mean 0%. That's stupid. You don't do that. But let's just say, for example, I have run projections. Elliott's projecting for 45% ownership. Say I have him optimal 29% of the time. I'll still have him in 30% of my lineups, but I'm underweight. So that's what I'm talking when I talk fade. I mean, clear cash game play here, but just be very wary of the ownership. Brad Keselowski, I'd put him in the same boat as William Byron. He might sneak into some lineups in MME, but that's about it. Now, he does need a win to get in, so he definitely has the extra added motivation, as does all of RFK. So I'll have a couple of Brad shares for sure, but single entries, no. 3 max, no. 20 max, 150, yeah, he sneaks in. Kyle Larson, absolutely not, starting in third. Austin Cindric is probably going to be contending to win this race, and he'll probably get wrecked on the final lap like he always does. I think Cindric is arguably the best super speedway driver right now in the books. The DraftKings FanDuel, they've caught up to it in the prices. We used to be able to get Austin Cindric at plus 3,000 at super speedways. And of course, I'd bet him every single time, and he finishes second or gets wrecked out of first. And then when I finally don't bet him because he's down to 1,500, he finally wins. So go figure. I'm going to say I was a little bit early on that. But unfortunately, starting in the top 5, he'll run well. Maybe he sneaks into a couple in case he wins the race for me in MME, but that's the only situation. Christopher Bell and Kyle Busch, both fine. Kyle Busch, actually a very good super speedway driver in this 8 car with RCR. Also another guy that needs to win and get in. I don't hate him starting in the upper teens in 14th. The floor is definitely a bit lower for where he's starting, but he's one of those GPP plays where it's fine. Like I believe last year he started anywhere in that like 15 to 20 range, and he was in the optimal lineup, at least on FanDuel. So starting 14th, I'm okay with some shares there. And then we get some decent PD plays. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., it's a super speedway if he is $9,000 starting in 25th. Usually we get him starting in 35th. I assume if we had qualifying, that's probably where he would have been, but a little bit higher this week. Then we have Chris Buescher and Tyler Reddick. So obviously Stenhouse would like to win to get into the playoffs. Chris Buescher also needs to. He's definitely on a fine line there outside of the playoff cut, even though he deserves to be in there. We've had a couple of winners that definitely don't deserve to be in the playoffs. And Tyler Reddick, all these guys offer some PD upside. I am fine with them in tournaments. I guess due to the lack of cash plays we have with place differential, unless you're just going full bottom feeders down here, people don't like to do that. You can make a case for these three in cash, but they're not my absolute favorite cash plays because they're not starting in the very back. I mean, there's 40 slots this week, so there's definitely spots they could still lose. Bubba Wallace is a good super speedway driver. He's already locked into the playoffs. I mean, of course, he's going to try to win the race. He's not going to not try to. He doesn't really have anybody to help either. I mean, Tyler Reddick's in, Denny Hamlin's in, so I guess all of his acquaintances are good. So it's just speed try for the win. Similar play as these three, just doesn't have as much PD upside. Same can be said for Ross Chastain. He's already locked into the playoffs. Daniel Suarez would like to win to get in. Starts in 12th, though. It makes it a very tough DFS play. Alex Bowman is unplayable. Now, he needs a good race, but you just can't play him starting in second. Ryan Preece will be a cash game play. Everyone played him last week. And whatever that strategy was, it has nothing to do with today, but whatever that strategy was last week by Ryan Preece was, I don't get it. You were the leader. You were crushing. You looked good. Then you do some weird strategy to lose 18 spots, and then the extra pit was stupid. And I don't know, they just threw away the race. I mean, they could have easily crushed it, led over 100 laps. And I don't know what that plan was, but it was very stupid. I mean, when you're the leader, people do the opposite of you. You just do the smart thing and just keep the lead. I absolutely no idea what he was doing. But yeah, that'll be a cash game staple. We'll have to be wary of ownership. And of course, he'll be in a good chunk of our lineups. Chase Briscoe starting in the top 10. And if you're in the top 10, you're just not really much of an appealing play. Michael McDowell's in a dead zone. You'll have some of them because he's mid-pack. He can finish top 10 at Super Speedways. We know that. Plus, win, get in. It's one of those chances. Carson Hocevar starting in 16th. MME play if he filters in a few. Like, you got enough PD starting outside the top 15, but you're not a priority. Josh Berry, you kind of throw him with that Penske train. He does offer more PD than the rest of them, so might end up with the most ownership of him, but not a staple. Ty Gibbs not a staple in 18th. It's like a dead spot. Just two dead spots right here. AJ Allmendinger is actually pretty good at drafting tracks, so maybe a GPP flyer, but not much to say to want to play him. Austin Dillon, shout out to him last week. Whenever he smells that Richmond area, he turns into Dale Earnhardt. I don't know why, but starting in 7th, that's impossible. Eric Jones, I always like him at Super Speedways. He starts in the mid-20s, seems like every single time. I do like Jones here starting in 26. He'll be a tournament play for me. Nemechek, I think you can play him in cash games. Probably one of the better plays overall. Noah Gregson's cash game playable starting in the 30s. Todd Gilliland, I wouldn't call him cash game because he's not in the 30s, but very similar play to all of these guys that we just talked about. Zane Smith's unplayable in 13. Justin Haley, probably the best cash play on the slate, starting at 37th. Not a bad super speedway driver, and really can't lose you many spots. And the reason I call him a better cash play over the guys of like Joey Gase, Casey Mears, BJ McLeod, just better equipment. Not that the equipment matters too much, but I would say he starts the furthest back where I don't really have any issues with the car he's in. Custer is the same exact play as Gilliland and Eric Jones, basically. So you're going to want to play him. I can't imagine many people will play Cole Custer. SVG, no thank you. Austin Hill probably wins the Xfinity race. It's Daytona. That's what he does. Not a bad car he's in. I mean, Austin Hill is a good super speedway driver. I'm fine with him starting 36. You can play him in cash games. I would not be against that. Ty Dillon starts too far up, and then literally every single one of these guys is going to be in your pool. Nobody was going to want to play them. You don't really need the salary to do that. People would feel a lot more comfortable probably with an Austin Hill, with Justin Haley, John Hunter Nemechek. That's going to take most of the ownership back here. Do not be afraid to play these guys. The only ones I would be a little bit scared of are Casey Mears and Joey Gase because these cars are absolute lawnmowers. I think we know how bad the 66 car is and the 44, but if they can hang on, they'll be just fine. Pick up spots. BJ McLeod, I would say, of the absolute bums, if you want to add in Cody Ware too, I would feel much safer with Cody Ware and BJ McLeod over Casey Mears and Joey Gase, but I think you do need ownership to all of them. But I will have more of Cody Ware and BJ McLeod because I can trust them to make it to the end without engine failure or anything like that. But with that being said, that's all I got for today's video. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, or even if you didn't, make sure you leave a like down below. Scratch it up for brand new. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down below. I'd be more than happy to answer them. Hopefully I'll see you in the live stream tomorrow afternoon or evening, I should say. And I wish you all the best. See y'all next time.